Before we jump into today's video, little PSA. This is not a paid review. I don't do paid reviews. I don't even accept the gear that people send me. I give it away to you guys. So if you want to maybe get a set of filters in the mail, stay tuned for later in the video. Just want to remind you, I don't do paid reviews. So one of the things about having a YouTube channel, for better or for worse, is that there's never a shortage of companies trying to send you their stuff in hopes that you will champion their product. When you're a landscape photographer, it's typically filter companies, tripod companies that reach out to you, sending you examples of their stuff. A lot of times it's not good, but more and more lately, I'm finding that there's just a lot of good filters out there. So I wanted to share with you guys, rather than making a bunch of separate little videos for each individual filter that has been sent to me, I wanted to just kind of lump them all into one video, show you guys what I've been sent, what I think of them, and what I'm actually switching to, because I'm going to be switching filters after this experiment. Let's jump into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is actually the most recent thing that's been sent to me. These are called Revo Rings. They come from a company called H&Y, and these are probably the most unique ideas that I've had sent to me. So they have two different products. This one is basically a one-size-fits-all filter ring adapter. So what's cool about this is, regardless of the size, this particular Revo ring will fit anything from a 67 millimeter to an 82 millimeter. You just turn it, set it on your lens, and it adapts to whatever filter thread size you have. So what's cool about this is you don't have to have a whole bunch of different step-up rings for every single different lens filter size you have. There's different ranges that you have to get. Like this one is 67 millimeters to 82 millimeters. Pretty cool. And it's actually quite affordable. I think this is like $44 or something like this. But what they also released, which is even more unique, is this. So it's got the same filter thread adaptation thing going on, where it'll fit 67 millimeter to 82 millimeter. But what's different is it has both a circular polarizer and a variable ND on here. So not only will this fit most likely every lens in your bag, but it replaces every filter in your bag. So literally, this is like one filter for everything. This is a pre-production model, which means that it doesn't have some of the stuff that is going to be out with the actual Kickstarter campaign that's going on now. The filter that they have is going to have a hard stop for the variable ND. It's also going to have one of these little, I guess you'd call it a pin to control the variable ND as well. Right now, it's just got one on the CPL. It's a really cool idea, especially if you're somebody that hikes a lot, wants to really minimize the amount of gear you take. It's pretty impressive that this thing can replace your entire filter kit. Quality-wise, I've found it to be pretty good, but I do run into quite a bit of vignetting, as I'll show right here. Quite a bit of vignetting at 16 millimeters on my Sony 16-35 f2.8. This lens has vignetting issues with a lot of filters, but this is probably the most severe vignetting I've ran into. So what I would recommend is, if you're looking at getting this filter, just to go a size larger than what you think you need. Like this typically takes 82 millimeter filters, so I would get the 95 and I would have zero vignetting at that point. Image quality, sharpness is good. There is a bit of color cast. And I'm very interested to try the actual production model, because I feel like it would be easier to tell where your circular polarizer is at, where your variable ND is at once they give you the marking. So it's a cool idea. I don't know that this will be for me, but I love that there is a company out there that is thinking so far out the box. So very interesting. If you're looking at really going super minimal, check this out. There'll be links in the description below. So the next filter that I had sent to me is this M10 filter system from Haida. Now, my first impressions of this filter system were actually that it felt pretty cheap and low quality, if I'm being totally honest. It's very, very lightweight, which is actually a benefit. It's a pro. You have these aluminum filter thread adapters, and then you have this filter holder kit, filter holder setup, it will accommodate both graduated filters. So 100 millimeter graduated filter can slide in the front here. And then you can have different filters that slide in the back like so. The basic setup does come with a circular polarizer. You drop it back behind the graduated filter. You got this plastic little dial. The whole thing is like all mostly plastic, and even honestly, the glass doesn't feel like glass. It feels like plastic. So the whole thing I felt feels really low quality. But when I was doing my image quality comparison, it actually held up really well against the others. I ran into no vignetting at all with this setup, which is better than the other systems did. And I didn't see much in the way of color cast. But I have to say that part of that is that they only sent me a 3-stop ND. I was testing it against 6-stop ND. So it's not really a fair apples to apples comparison. But image quality wise, it seems to be doing quite well. The whole setup is pretty light for how big it is. And if you're somebody that uses graduated ND filters, this would probably be a pretty nice setup for you. I think I would definitely prefer the Polar Pro setup that I've reviewed in the past, just because the build quality is so much better than this. But the benefit to having such a lightweight, cheap feeling build quality is it is incredibly light. It does also come with a lens cap that you can throw on top of the filter thread adapter, but I also find that putting the lens or the camera body with this filter thread adapter in your camera bag with this thing on front, it doesn't fit very well. But you know, this is an option if you're wanting to save a buck, because they are fairly affordable. They're not way cheap, but they're more affordable than the other filters we're looking at. And if you use graduated filters and you want something light, comes with this case, which is kind of big and bulky, but it is definitely smaller than the Polar Pro. I think it's okay. You know, even though it does feel low quality, the benefit is that it's incredibly light. So if you're looking for a light graduated ND holder setup, this is an option. So in the past, I've always graduated towards circular screw-on filters. The reason for that is they're smaller, they're more affordable. I don't use graduated filters, so I don't want to have a big mounting apparatus on the front of my camera that I don't really need. So I've always used circular thread-on filters, and my brand of choice has always been Breakthrough Photography. I have experimented a little bit with the Quartz line filters from Polar Pro. I found that the image quality on these are really, really excellent. I actually prefer the image quality to the Polar Pros over the Breakthrough Photography filters, even though I kind of feel like the threads and stuff are better on the Breakthrough Photography filters. But anyways, maybe in a recent video you have seen this little leather case and these really cool magnetic filters that I've been using. So these are made by a company called Kase. This is the Wolverine magnetic system from Kase. And I have fell in love with these. So when it comes to speed, it's really hard to beat this. Don't even have to look at what you're doing. It's pretty awesome. These Kase filters are cool for a couple different reasons. For one, they're magnetic. For two, they're incredibly thin. They take up very, very little space in the bag. I think that you could even make it more compact if you chose to do this, which is also cool. You can take them and you can just stack them all together. So these are all stackable, which means that you don't even really have to have a case. You can just put them all in a big sandwich and then just have them like that in your bag and put a cap on either side. I've really fell in love with these, mostly because of just how quick and easy they are to use. Now, when I was doing the image quality comparisons, I was really interested to see how these would stack up against some of the other filters that I have. And I did find that there's zero sharpness hit with these, but they do vignette a bit more than both the Breakthrough Photography filters and the Polar Pro Quartz line filters. And there is just a little bit of magenta cast with a 6-stop ND filter. It's not anything that I consider a deal breaker though, however, because the vignetting is gone at like 16.5 millimeters. You zoom in just a tiny bit and there's very little vignetting, if any vignetting at all. and just the ease of use. What's so cool about these is the fact that you can just leave these magnetic rings on your lenses and then have one for each lens. For example, this is an 82 millimeter and I can slap that filter on there. And then this is a 77 millimeter and I have the magnetic filter thread adapter and I can just put the same filter on there. These are small and thin enough that you can just leave them on your lenses, and they come with these lens caps, or at least one lens cap. And then you can have a lens cap that you just magnetically stick on there. Unlike some other magnetic systems, they're stackable. So you can stack, you know, whatever combination of filters you want on there. Right now I have a 3-stop, a 6-stop, and a circular polarizer on there. You just turn your circular polarizer. They're just so handy. So for that reason, I've went out and bought myself a set. And the reason I bought myself a set, even though I've been sent a set, is because anything that I review on this channel, I give away to you guys. So if one of you would like these, or these, or these, I'm not sure if I can give these away because these are pre-production, but I'll try to get my hands on the actual production models to give away to you guys. Anyways, if you would like one of these sets of filters, leave a comment in the section below, letting me know what filters that you use and where you live, and I'll randomly draw from that list and we'll get you guys some new filters. So where does this all leave us? Obviously I'm swimming in filters, and the last thing I need is another filter system. But just because of the ease of use of these Kase filters, these are going to be what I use moving forward because they are so incredibly quick and handy and travelable because they are so compact and they're so just nice and tidy. And I love that you have these magnetic lens caps, so you can just leave the rings on, throw that magnetic cap on, shove the camera in your bag. These are going to be my filters moving forward. There's a lot of good filters out there right now. It used to be that there was a lot of really low quality filters, and there still are a lot of low quality filters, and those are the ones that you don't pay much money for. All of these filters come at a bit of a price tag, but building a filter system is, you know, it's a big, important part of your kit. I recommend building things one piece at a time and just making sure that you're getting the largest filter size that you need, and then adapt your lens to that largest filter size. So in my case, it's an 82 millimeter filter, and then I adapt down to 77 and 67, and that'll cover all of my lenses. So hopefully this helps. There's a lot of really interesting filters on the market. I'm really intrigued by where this setup could go. I think that this is going to be a very clever setup from H&Y, the Revo Ring I'm talking about here. I think it's going to be a very clever setup for those of you that don't want to have a whole bunch. And, you know, you put it all in one, it's pretty affordable as well. So pretty cool stuff out there right now. Hopefully this has been interesting to you guys, and we will see you in the next video. Take it easy, everybody.